It's now a pleasure to introduce John Harold, our director. John's warned me that he will want to say rather more than he's got time for, so it's been a busy year in terms of the challenges John's faced, and let's hear all about them, John.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Can I just check, can everyone hear me okay? Put your hand up if it sounds okay. Thank you. Right, well, diolch yn fawr iawn i chi I gyd ein aelodau ni. Diolch am mynychu cyfarfod yma ac rhaid I mi ymddiheuro. Dydy hwnna ddim y ffordd sy'n ni wedi dewis I wneud y cyfarfod blynyddol. Fel arfer, mae'n achlysu'r llawer mwy cymdeithasol a chyfeillgar. So I'd just like to say a very warm welcome and a big thank you to you all, our members, for attending today. This isn't the way we would choose to run our annual meeting. It's normally a much more sociable and friendly occasion. Picking up on something that Julian said. Julian's definitely a glass half full person. So I'm going to sort of ask you whether you want the bad news or the good news. I always prefer to get the bad news out of the way first. I find that generally helps in life. And I think, you know, it's only fair to say we're probably all feeling generally a general feeling of discomfort, feeling uncomfortable at the moment. There seems to be so much to be fearful of, lots of dark clouds around, and you know, apart from the obvious ones, just in the last week, I'm going to get this off my chest, just in the last week I've seen a few more clouds. In the UK Parliament this week, the UK Agriculture Bill, MPs there voted to save themselves a lot of time and effort by throwing both farmers and conservationists under the same bus. And I think that's a really, really fundamental challenge that we all face looking ahead. Smaller and more traditional farms and farming in Adroddiad at the moment, on the face of it, facing a bleak and uncertain time ahead. In the same week, this week, Wales Environment Link wrote to Welsh Government about environmental governance after the 31st of December. Welsh Government has failed to make any real provision for this. The letter from Wales Environment Link states this is deeply regrettable as it leaves Wales facing the prospect next year of having the weakest environmental governance arrangements of any Western European country. This is serious. And on Thursday, as if that wasn't enough, don't worry, I will get to the end of this bit, as if that wasn't enough, the UK Biodiversity Indicators report was published. This is not another report published by conservation charities. This is published by the governments of the 4 UK nations, and it says, and I quote, "The UK is seeing relentless declines in wildlife, with public sector investment in conservation falling in real terms by 33% in 5 years." Okay, I think that's enough. I'll stop there. It's like a dark fairy tale. So given these grim circumstances, I got a real shock, and this is a nicer kind of shock, when I opened my diary this week as well to a page in November, looking ahead, and saw the title of my next speaking engagement. And I wrote this in my diary back in January, in the sort of period BC before COVID. And it seems, reading my diary, that I put myself down to give a talk on the subject of reasons to be cheerful. So here we go. Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3, with apologies for anyone too young to remember Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Here we go. Number 1, this year, seeing the potential for real change. I think However you look at what's happened this year, we have seen change responses and people seizing the moment to change things rapidly in a way that we've really, many of us have never seen before. Now, it isn't easy, but people are trying to hold on to the positive bits that came out of what was a very difficult start to this year. That potential for change. The obvious things, how nature helps us to cope, how much we need and value the places we love, especially those we know well, our milltir square, our square mile. Number two on reasons to be cheerful, seeing our work make a difference. In the summer, it became incredibly clear how much our work is needed. Timely, urgent reminders as crowds of people returned to Snowdonia on an unprecedented scale. We haven't stood still, and plans are advancing rapidly to take that work, all of that work, to another level. I referred to this in an article in the magazine, and the aim is to build our capacity through our volunteering and training, and increasingly through employment, with a clear focus on young people. And I think this is really important looking ahead. And number three, our staff and our volunteers. I am more than ever so proud of our staff and our volunteers, and proud of our work. I don't want to gloss over how difficult this is. And with a sort of slight trepidation, I'll say, for the benefit of those perhaps who are retired, it may not be quite as obvious how challenging it is to be working at the moment, whether that's home working or on the front line. Claire, for instance, has adapted magnificently in a year when her entire programme of events has been wiped out, and put some great work in other areas. Judith and Debbie is here. She's hiding behind the contact us screen, but keeping the minutes. And there she is. Hi, Debbie. Judith and Debbie have kept things running, largely from home with very limited facilities. And as we've already seen in the videos, Mary Kate, Dan and Mary have already shown us a little bit of their magnificent work this summer. So the home working staff have found this is an important thing. It's a little thing, but it's important. Home working staff have found that home has changed. So physically and mentally, when home is your workplace, it is different. Whereas our staff in the front line, particularly Dan and Mary, have been working face to face with a public that is mostly respectful, mostly appreciative, and mostly well behaved. And you know, the events of the summer and the work that's gone into sort of responding to the immediate challenges has been quite remarkable. And I'm just going to stop to quote from a letter. This may not be the first time the Society has received a Dear John letter from the National Park. And this is a letter from the Chief Executive of the National Park Authority. And it goes, a little bit of it goes like this. Dear John, on behalf of the National Park Authority and our staff, I would like to offer our sincere thanks to the Snowdonia Society for the extraordinary contribution and the significant efforts in and around Snowdon in particular, of your volunteers and staff, which were afforded to us and to the public during the post-lockdown period. As I've said, I'm proud of our staff, our volunteers and our work, proud of the role we play in looking after Snowdonia. Bringing it right back to this past week, and reasons to be cheerful from this last week. On Thursday, I attended, along with many others, the online launch of the Carneddau Landscape Partnership Project. And it was a pleasure to hear Ieuan Wyn, the Prif-Ardd, the Chief Bard, and the Bethesda Boy, bringing land to life through the poetry of place names. And he was clear that it is through human eyes and ears that landscapes are really made, through human thoughts that meaning is given to the landscape. Now our society is one part of that story woven into the land. Our ears, our eyes, our thoughts, and the work of our hands all give meaning to Eryri. So on that note, I'll draw to a close and say thank you to you, our members, because we can't do this without you. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi i gyd ein aelodau. Hebddo chi, sa'r gwaith yma yn amhosib. Felly, diolch yn fawr iawn.